It's been 4 years in this sport, and I've done more to it than any boxer in the history of the sport. So in due time, sir, I will be fighting for a world championship, and I will be shutting you the f*** up and making you eat your own words, just like the rest of these f***ing punks.
Jake Paul's recent claim that he has done more for boxing than other boxers is not only incredibly arrogant, but also disrespectful to the legacies of true boxing legends like Muhammad Ali.
So, what do you think about backtrack? I could block him.
Oh, Muhammad beat you, Mike! Hey,
who would have won if you fought this man in your prime?
I was a dancing master.
Yeah, you were a dancer. You moved.
I wasn't that powerful. I was so fast.
Uh-huh.
If he hit me, best if he catch me.
Yeah. What would you say, Mike?
I by no means, I'm vain. I know I'm great, but can I tell you something? In this situation, every head must bow, every tongue must confess. This is the greatest of all time.
Jake is essentially undermining the contributions and achievements of these iconic figures who have shaped the sport as we know it. Muhammad Ali, in particular, had an impact beyond the ring, as he stood up for civil rights, inspired millions with his charisma and bravery, and changed the face of sports forever. To suggest that Jake Paul, with his relatively short career and controversial background, has done more for boxing than Ali is simply laughable and insulting to the late legend's memory. It's a slap in the face to the countless boxers who have dedicated their lives to the craft, poured their blood, sweat, and tears into the ring, and left an indelible mark on boxing. I was just watching this video from YouTuber Kenny KO, and he dropped a bombshell.
So I'll give you guys the answer early. Is Jake Paul natural? No. I can say that with pretty certain confidence in that statement, mainly because, as you heard me mention, I know a lot of the people he trains with, and I have heard things.
Apparently, he's claiming that Jake Paul might be using performance enhancements to enhance his performance in the ring. But before we get to that, I need your help. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I need your help. So I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Now, I want to be clear. There's no concrete proof that Jake is actually taking any banned substances. These are just speculation at this point. But hearing this hypothesis does raise some eyebrows, doesn't it? I mean, Jake's rise in the boxing world has been pretty meteoric. He's gone from being a YouTube personality to facing off against some big names in the sport, and he's managed to hold his own. But is it possible that there's more to his success than just hard work and natural talent? If there's any truth to these allegations, it could cast a shadow over Jake's entire boxing career. It's one thing to train hard and have some skill, but if you're relying on performance-enhancing to give you an edge, that's a whole different ballgame. Of course, we have to be careful not to jump to conclusions based on one YouTuber's opinion. Kenny KO might have his reasons for making these claims, but without solid evidence, it's all just speculation. Still, it does make you think. At the end of the day, only Jake knows the truth about what he's putting into his body.
You wouldn't be having to take PEDs, are you?
Listen, if you want to build in excuses right now,
no, I'm just asking.
Go ahead.
Because I was just wondering, I looked at your face, it looked kind of serious. You had some rage and you acting all unorthodox, you know, those are signs of the PEDs.
I'm enraged. I'm not enraged at all.
Are you taking PEDs?
No, sir.
Not at all? Okay.
No, sir.
That's what I feel on PEDs? Like. I don't care.
You know, it's important to note that there's no actual proof of Jake Paul taking any performance enhancement. It's crucial that we don't jump to conclusions without solid evidence. However, let's just imagine for a moment that these rumors were true. Can you even fathom the reaction from the boxing community? It would be an absolute uproar. Any attempt to undermine the sport integrity would be met with severe backlash. It would be a massive scandal. The boxing community has dealt with its fair share of controversies over the years, from fixed fights to doping scandals. But again, I want to reiterate that there's no proof of any wrongdoing on Jake's part. These are purely hypothetical scenarios. Let's hope that both fighters compete clean and give us a fair, exciting match. That's what the fans deserve, and that's what the sport of boxing is all about. Oh boy, this Jake Paul and Mike Tyson saga just keeps getting crazier. Now there's a wild rumor going around that Jake said he's going to bite Tyson's ear off during their fight. just like Tyson infamously did to Evander Holyfield back in 1997. Can you believe this? If this rumor is true, it's a pretty bold and provocative statement from Jake. He's essentially taunting Tyson, bringing up one of the most controversial moments in boxing history and threatening to turn the tables on him. It's like he's saying, hey, remember when you bit Holyfield's ear? Well, now it's your turn to get a taste of your own medicine. But let's be real. Biting an opponent's ear is not only against the rules, it's downright dirty and unsportsmanlike. It's the kind of thing that could get Jake disqualified. Plus, it's just a really low blow to bring up such a notorious incident from Tyson's past. You have to wonder what Tyson thinks about all this. The guy has worked hard to rebuild his reputation and leave that infamous moment behind him. So, for Jake to even joke about doing the same thing to him, it's got to be incredibly disrespectful and infuriating. If Tyson wasn't already motivated to teach this young, arrogant guy a lesson in the ring, he certainly is now. Can you imagine the intensity and anger he's going to bring into that fight? Jake might have just poked a sleeping giant.
So he just decided that he was just going to be chill Mike Tyson. And then he got this offer to fight Roy Jones Jr.
Yeah.
So he gets in insane shape. And the next time I see him, the second podcast we do, Mike now weighs 230 pounds, and he's got these muscles in his forearms. So he's sitting there, and he's a different human. He's so intense. This is the second podcast I did with Mike Tyson. Even Jamie, when Mike left, Jamie's like, that's a different person. It's a totally different person, right?
I was nervous the whole time. I was so glad I was close to the door. Hoping he went for you first.
He was so intense. He was so intense. And that was a fight with Roy Jones Jr., where he just decided, to have one more Legends fight.
There's something really fascinating about Mike Tyson when he gets back into training mode. It's like he transforms into a completely different person. The guy just becomes an absolute beast in the gym, and it's incredible to witness. I've heard stories about how intense Tyson's training sessions can be. He pushes himself to the limit, and it shows in the way his body responds. It's like he taps into this reservoir of strength and power that most people can only dream of. And from what I've heard, Tyson is definitely putting in the work for this fight against Jake Paul. He knows he can't take this challenge lightly, and he's making sure he's in the best shape possible. You can bet he's hitting the bag, sparring, and doing everything he can to sharpen his skills and get ready for battle. But let's not forget, Jake Paul is also putting in the hours in the gym. This guy has been taking his boxing career seriously, and he's shown some impressive improvements over his last few fights. He's young, hungry, and eager to prove himself against a legend like Tyson. It's going to be really interesting to see how their training translates into the ring. Will Tyson's experience and newfound strength be enough to overcome Jake's youth and determination? Or will Jake's hard work and natural athleticism give him the edge he needs to pull off the upset? One thing's for sure, both of these guys are leaving it all in the gym right now. They know what's at stake, and they're both determined to come out on top. It's going to be a battle of wills as much as it is a battle of skill and power. It's really interesting to see how the boxing community is reacting to this whole Tyson versus Paul situation. From what I've heard, almost every boxing legend out there is convinced that Tyson's going to win this fight by knockout. I mean, we're talking about some of the greatest names in the sport's history, and they're all backing Iron Mike. These legends have seen him at his best, and they know what he's capable of when he steps into the ring. Even at 57, they believe he has the skills, the power, and the experience to take out a younger, less experienced fighter like Jake Paul. But at the same time, some of these same legends are expressing concerns about Tyson's physical condition. Let's face it, the guy's not in his prime anymore, and he's been through a lot of battles over the years. There's always a risk of injury when you step into the ring, and that risk only increases with age. You've got to wonder if Tyson's body can still handle the rigors of a real fight. Sure, he looked sharp in his training, but that was a different kind of thing. Going toe-to-toe with a young, hungry fighter like Jake Paul is a whole different ballgame. There's also the question of Tyson's stamina. Can he still go the distance if the fight goes beyond a few rounds? That's something that could definitely come into play, especially if Paul manages to weather Tyson's early storm.
You had animosity towards, so when you finally get your hands on him.
Hey, what does it mean when fighting gets you erect? What does that mean?
It's a good question.
Gee.
Means you're getting excited.
Yeah.
So that's going through your mind right now.
Well, that's how I get when I was a kid, and sometimes I get the twinkle.
The twinkle.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you reached a state as a human being, as a champion, as a ferocious fighter. You reached a state of ability and of accomplishment that very few humans will.
I mentioned many details of this saga, but there's something else very huge that is happening in the wait for this fight. So check out this deep dive where I'll tell you other rumors that are buzzing in the boxing community. You will learn new shocking claims that are attracting people's attention. Click on the screen to watch the deep dive, and thanks for watching this video.